So on day 5 of my through hike of the Lost Coast Trail, I started out at Shelter Cove right here at Black Sands Beach, and I headed northward through this area, and I slept last night right here at Miller Flat, also called Big Flat, and it's where the Big Flat Creek comes in here from the mountains. It was very hot when I got here last night, but it cooled off nicely in the evening, and it got downright chilly during the night, so that was awesome. It's just like I expected it to be here on the coast, with the cool breezes coming in from the ocean. So this was 10.5 miles, and that 10.5 was very pleasant, but it was about twice as difficult as what you would think it would be for those many flat miles on the beach. So you might consider taking about twice as long on your hiking these distances as what you think it would, because of the rocky surfaces and the sand. You'll be going about twice as slow as what you think. So if you normally hike about 2 miles per hour, you may consider that your actual speed on this part of the hike might be about only 1 mile per hour. So that's something to consider in your planning. There are many campsites here at Miller Flat, so you're guaranteed to find one here, a good campsite. Probably I would like better to be sleeping here at Shipman Creek overnight. Got a little bit less distance yesterday, but nonetheless here I am at Miller Flat. You can see how big it is here. It's very beautiful. Of course, it's all beautiful along here. So but that's how my day 5 hike went, and how far I went was 10.5 miles. Today I'll be heading northward, and maybe just go about 6 to 8 miles today as I go continuing north on the trail, and we'll see what we can find. Max Patch 67 here. Join me on day 6 of my through hike of the Lost Coast Trail in Northern California. Today I'm starting out at Miller Flat, heading northward, and let's go see what we can find together. Plans are real flexible on this trail, and so I would say that today, if I were making a plan to make it to a destination for a campsite, I would say I'd try to make it to Randall Creek right here, which is 7.9 miles from right here where I'm starting at Miller Flat. I think that would be a good distance, and that would leave a little bit of a few miles left for my hike tomorrow on day 7 to Mattole. Zooming back out a ways on the map so you can see the big picture here of the trail, you can see where I started hiking here at Highway 1. I hiked the road up 6 miles into the wilderness area here, and then I hopped on the trail, and right now on day 6 I'm right up here where Miller Flat is, and in a couple more days I'll end up here at the trailhead at Punta Gorda. Actually, the trailhead is called Mattole, so on the map though it says Punta Gorda here. This map is actually a really good map to have if you're just hiking the northern part of the trail, which is the most common part that people hike along, which is just mostly along the beach here. And this map is made by the BLM, Arcata Field Office, and that's actually a really good map for the northern part. And one reason for that is because the miles are marked out here in detail between each section in red. They have the miles marked out here so you can know exactly how far it is to each destination. Also, the map is more detailed with more topo lines, and so this is a superior map put out by the Kings Range, or put out by the BLM, and that's the map you'd want to get. I bought this in Eureka at Adventure's Edge. Here's the trail right here. After passing through the creek area, you'll turn inward through the grass prairie here area and start cutting through the grass towards the mountains a little bit. Probably see some deer through here. There's a house over there. So after talking with the two guys we just passed on the trail, we found out that there is a landing strip right here, and surfers actually will fly in here and land here to surf the waves out here on this point. So we thought that was kind of curious why there'd be a landing strip out here, and also I suppose the people that live in the house out there on the edge of the mountains use that landing strip to fly in here. But so it's kind of a strange little area here with the grass and the landing strip out here on this point. It's pretty cool out here. The hiking is really easy. You can see the ground you're hiking on, basically like a little road. And here comes some more hikers through here. Very fast hiking north of here. So it's just cruising on flat trail. Very easy, normal hiking. Looking southward, west, northward. Beautiful day for hiking. Lots of good solid ground to hike on. Fast trails through here. Looking northward. There's the trail heading north, and then looking back towards the south. Looking up from the south view here, trail coming up northward, and there's the view through here. As you can see, the trail rises up above the ocean a ways up on these hilly sides, and it enters a kind of a gravelly, rocky area across here. I don't know if these are mine tailings or a landslide area or what, but a rocky area through here. And we are about a couple hundred feet above the ocean right here. And a real good view of the trail heading northward. You see over a large distance here where the trail heads back down to the beach side. Now, since the trail headed down to the seashore again, the tide is rising enough where there is no nice packed wet sand to hike on down next to the water. So the second choice is to hike up here on this dry sand, which is basically like hiking through sand dunes, and it's very slow going. So you may be prepared through different areas. If the tide is up, you have to hike on the sand. And you know what hiking in sand, dry sand is like. It's just very slow going. So just take your time and plant your trekking poles in the sand and just trudge along through the through all that sand. The next source of water heading north from Miller Flat is Big Creek. You can see the water is flowing really well here, and a really nice clear running creek. It's pretty hot going across this section. So yesterday on day 5, I advised, not even bringing water because there's so much water along the trail. Well, here I would bring water if I were you, because it actually is a just 2.8 miles to get to some nice water again. So you'd want water through. It gets pretty hot actually up here on the trail also, away from the water. Hiking through that sand just kind of feels super hot. So anyway, it's been going good. It's a beautiful day again, so it's awesome out here. So here's Big Creek, 2.8 miles so far today from Miller Flat. From Big Creek here, you have a choice of going up on the trail that heads up the bank over there, or right now tide's low enough and the nice wet packed sand is right here to hike on, so I'm going to continue right here on the hard packed wet sand because it's the easiest hiking surface that you can find here on the Lost Coast Trail. Have I mentioned that you need to use sun protection out here on this trail? I wore a hat all day long yesterday in the sun, and I still had a sunburn on my nose, and it never saw sunlight. So multiple forms of sun protection might even be good. I put on sunscreen today to help out because the sun rays are so strong out here on the beach. Another advantage to hiking down here on the hard packed sand, besides being the easiest surface to hike on this trail, is that it's much cooler down here. So if you're coming in the summertime, it's quite a few degrees of temperature difference between the cool beachside hiking versus up on the distant sandy dunes and grassy areas. It's definitely a lot cooler down here right on the beach side. You may be wondering about bugs along the Lost Coast Trail. Well, I have not experienced any bothersome bugs along this trail, and mosquitoes love me. Believe me, I'm the first person they find in a group of hikers. So I would not bring any insect protection along if I were you, but that's my experience here in July, so maybe different times of the year might be different, but that's been my experience. In July, there have not been any mosquitoes or even black flies or deer flies. As you're walking along the water's edge, there'll be a variety of walking surfaces. These rocks I've been walking on right here are pretty loose, but they're still okay to hike on compared to the sand and some of the other surfaces. But then you'll come to this nice sand again right away. So the surface that you're hiking on changes all the time. And then here I'm coming back up those rocks again. But again, this is preferable. Gotta avoid that one. That's part of the fun of hiking here, is you have these road waves that come up high every once in a while. So you have to watch out for those as you're walking along so you don't get your feet wet. If you get your feet wet, it's not so fun. So as much as you can, keep your feet dry as you're walking along, because if you do get your feet wet, you'll want to stop and dry those out. It's much more comfortable and you won't get blisters so easy to keep your feet dry. Have I mentioned how pretty this trail is yet? It's amazing. You may be wondering how many people hike this trail. Well, I don't really know, but I can just tell you from my experience here in peak season in July that I've met anywhere from one day just one person, a couple more days 2 people. One day there's a group of 20 youth with their leaders, and then I'd say that the northern section gets use a lot more because it's flat along the beach here. But still, I've like the last couple of days, we've seen people along the way, but it's not huge amounts, and you feel like you're alone because there's huge distances between you and other people. Trekking poles are a great thing to use on the Lost Coast Trail. I highly recommend using them. They'll help you on the sand, on the rocks. They're good for everywhere. Hey, so you've probably been wondering about this. What do you do when you've got to go out here on the Lost Coast Trail? Well, on the southern portion below Shelter Cove, there are outhouses by the major campsites, and so those are available. If you're not at one of the outhouse camp areas, then you should use normal wilderness procedures where you dig a little hole, go in it, and then cover it up. Well, what about the trail up here above northward from Shelter Cove? What do you do out here on the beach? Well, what the recommendation is to do similar to what you would do up in the woods, and you dig a little hole and you go in it, and then you let the tide do its thing and clean up your mess for you. So that's the recommendation of what you're supposed to do out here on the beach. And you might think, well, what about all the people around? It is surprising how you are by yourself out here on this trail that's used quite a bit. Once you hike by people, they're gone, and you're hiking the other direction. Within a couple minutes, they're out of sight within just a couple minutes. So you'll be surprised at your opportunities to be alone out here on the trail. So when you've got to go, you'll have plenty of opportunities to take care of that out here on the beach. So I'm on this trail in July. Being here on the coast, I would expect it to be very, very cool, like the rest of the coast of Northern California. However, strange thing enough about this place is in the Kings Range here, where the Lost Coast Trail goes through, because of the geographic landforms here, there are hot winds that blow over the mountains across the coast here. And so it's unusually warm here during the summer for the coastline. And so that's why yesterday, when we were arriving into the campsite, there are some hot winds there and some cool winds. It's a mixture. Because you have the warm air blowing over the mountains from the east, and you have the cool air coming in from the ocean. So it's kind of an interesting mix here of air temperatures. Luckily, it cooled off great last night for sleeping. It was down probably in the lower 50s because it got real chilly. But that's why there's such a range of temperatures here. So I think you can expect more sun here and warmer than the rest of the coast of Northern California, like you might expect. Interestingly enough, look back here at this big piece of junk behind me here. I'm not sure if that's from a factory or a boat that sank or what, but some huge piece of garbage there along the beach. So check this out. Up here there's a creek flowing right there, and it hits the sand and rocks on the beach, goes under. It's dry, and then out it pops right here on the beach in these springs. So that's kind of cool to see how the spring appears flowing right out from the sand here on the beach from the creek up there. And then this is kind of a neat area. The landforms have been kind of featureless here, but then you'll get to these rocks, larger rocks along the beach, which are kind of a destination, a change in scenery. Watch for rogue waves. This is earthquake country, and you never know exactly when a big wave might come up. Even a tsunami could happen, so keep your eye on the water at all times. Interestingly enough, Kings Mountain that's in this range here, the Kings Range, one day in 1992 rose 3 feet within a matter of seconds as the Earth's crust plates in this area were shifting. So that shows that there's lots of earthquake activity through here, and there could be a big wave at any time, so watch out for that. So is this redwood country? Well, yes and no. The Kings Range, which is what the northern part of the Lost Coast Trail follows along the coastline, is unusual for the area because the hot winds blow from the east towards the west instead of from the ocean from the west to the east. And so it creates a hotter climate. And the redwoods need the fog and the cooler climate to live in. And so this part of the Lost Coast Trail, you won't see redwoods in the mountains here because of that change in climate from the geography of this area. So you can see the beautiful, beautiful grass-covered hills through this northern part here. Makes a very beautiful sight. If you want to see some redwoods on this trail, you'll need to check out the southern portion from Highway 1 up to Shelter Cove, or watch one of my previous videos from days 1 through 4. Tonight, I'm camped next to Spanish Creek. I had planned to go to Randall's Creek tonight, which is the next creek down on the shoreline, but it seemed like after about 6 miles I was ready to quit, and it seemed right to camp here at Spanish Creek. The area is beautiful, as you can see behind me. The treeless, grassy hills are just awesome in their beauty, and as the sun sets on them, it's just very, very nice out here. As you can see in the background here, it's almost unreal how pretty it is. But the Spanish Creek runs clear. It's a good place to camp. There's a lot of campsites here. Even if you're not camping right here, you might want to take note of this spot where Spanish Creek is, because if you just hike up the creek about like 1 minute, you'll get to the trail. And the trail from here across Spanish Flats, as you can see across here, the trail across through here is actually a hard-packed gravel trail that is very fast to hike on. So in the morning, I'll be hiking on that trail to head northward and get past Randall's Creek into the through the tide zone area before the tide rises, and then continue on from there. It should be about a 10-mile hike tomorrow to get back to the northern trailhead at Mattole. So I'm looking forward to that hike. But right now I'm looking forward to seeing first the stars out tonight, and just enjoy one last night on day 6 out here on the beach. As the sun is getting ready to set here, I just wanted to show you how beautiful this part of the Lost Coast Trail is. Say hi to my shadow. Hi. This is the trail right here that runs through Spanish Flats. Unbelievable.